All right, guys, welcome back. So as you were saying, for a straight line graph, the equation that we generally plot would have the variables raised to the power 1. So the x value the x itself would raise to the power 1, the y would raise to the power 1. And so these are called simple equation. But another name that we call simple equation would be linear equation. Now, since the power of x and y is to the power 1, we say that these graphs are of a first degree. The variables are of the first degree. That means their power is to the power 1. All right. And so simple equations where the x and y are to the power of 1 will always give you a straight line. And so we also call the graph of simple equation, we call them linear equation, because when we plot them, we get a straight line. All right. Now, since these equations give you a straight line, it is only necessary to only find at least about 3 points. You don't really need no more about 3 points to plot these graphs, because all of the points will fall on the same straight line. So if you can find 3 points, preferably the 2 endpoints. So the 2 endpoints and a middle point would be accurate enough to draw a graph of a simple equation. All right, so you don't really have to have all the values to be able to plot the graph of a simple equation. So for instance, now this graph, plot the graph of y equal to 5x plus 3 from between x equal to minus 3 and x equal to 3, you would have to go ahead and do the calculation, construct the table, do the calculation, then you do your scale, then you position your x and y axis, then from your table, you're going to draw your graph. Now, what I want you to do for me in this exercise at this point now, I want you now to construct a table for this equation, similar to the one that we have done before. All right. And when you're finished with your table, once you're finished constructing your table, you raise your hand and let me know so we can move on from there. All right, guys, so go ahead and do that for me. All right, so what you should be doing now, guys, is to be constructing, you should be constructing a table for your X and Y values in order to plot this graph. All right, let me just start off the process for some of you guys. All right, so based on the number of, in this equation, how many terms do we have? We have the y, we have the 5x, and we have the 3. Now the y row going to be your very last row. Now your first row going to be your x row. All right, so your first row should be the values in x. Your second row should be your 5x row. Your third row should be the row with a +3 in it. All right, so you should have your x value range from -3 to +3. So you need to divide into columns. So you should have enough columns to accommodate the x values from -3 to +3. All right, so we would, this first column is to put our x values and the equations in. So for this first column, we are going to write our x value, our x variable at the top. Now the next would be our 5x. The next one going to be our +3. And the last row going to be our y. And so now we need to choose enough columns to accommodate x values from -3 to +3. So we want to have one column there. So that would be -3 and -2. Then we could have -1 and 0. Next, you would have 1 and 2. And then we just need one more for 3. All right, so don't think we would need any more than these. All right, so the top row now, we're just going to write the range of values for x. So we start off from -3. So we have -3, -2, -1, then we have 0, 1, 2, 3. All right. So we really don't need any more columns because our X value is ranging from -3 to +3. Now, in our calculation for the row below the X row, which is the 5X row, we're just going to multiply each of these X value by 5 and put in this row. So we say 5 times -3 will give you -15. So that will give you your first 5X. The next time is 5 times -2 will give you a -10. Then 5 times -1 will give you -5. And then 5 times 0, you will get back 0. 5 times +1, you get back 5. 5 times 2, you get 10, +10. And 5 times 3, you get +15. All right. Let me see the hands of those who get all of that so far for that second column. Sorry, second row rather. Now the next row is your +3 row. So all of this, we're going to have +3 going all the way across. Because in our calculation for each value, we have a +3. All right, so you would have to just put in +3 go all the way across in this row. All right, so once you have put in all of your +3 here, then now we are going to calculate the Y values. But in order to calculate the Y values, we're simply just going to add the 2 rows below the X row. So in other words, the 2 middle rows, we add the values in those rows to get the Y value. So we have -15 + 3 for the first X value. The first X value is -3, so the values below those, below the -3, we're going to add those, which is -15 + 3. So we would get -12. So that's our first value right there, because we know that we have a positive and a negative. You take the smaller one from the larger one and keep the sign of the larger one. So 3 from 15 give you 12. The sign of the larger one, which is 15, is negative, so you get -12. Now we have -10 + 3, we take away 3 from 10, we get 7, we keep the sign of the 10, we get -7. And here we have -5 + 3, we take away 3 from 5, we get 2, we keep the sign of the 5, which is from -2. All right, now we have 0 + 3, we get +3. We have 5 + 3, we get +8. And now we have 10 + 3, we get +13. And next we have 15 + 3, we will get +18. All right, so those would give you all your values. Let me see the hands of those who have calculated and get all of those values. All right, Mr. Artie. Anybody else? Guys, you can't get lazy now, you have to do the work. Because the closer you get to exam, you have to try to push yourself a little harder. All right, so it means then from this table, when we're plotting our graph, we're going to use our corresponding X and Y values to plot our points. So it means that for the first point, we're going to have X equal -3. So we use this -3 with this -12. So our first coordinate is going to be -3, X equal -3. And then now we have Y equal -12. All right, remember these are what we're going to be plotting on our graph. So you choose your X values and your corresponding Y values, you pair them up to give you these ordered pairs. And these are what you plot on your graph. Let me see the hands of those who are comfortable with what is done with the table. All right. Is there any question about the table, guys? All right. Now, what I would love for you to do with this table, guys, I want you to plot the graph based on this table, and then now send me a photo of it in the WhatsApp group tomorrow. All right, guys. All right. So
take a screenshot, sir.
Yes, you're going to take a screenshot of this table, and you're going to plot the graph on a graph paper from the table, and label it in accordance to how we did the first one. So you're going to put in, label your axis, label your x-axis, label your y-axis. You're going to put in your scale, so write a scale. You're going to label your points in terms of the coordinates. Then you're going to label the line with the equation that you use to calculate the table. All right, so all of that I want to see on the graph. So I'm asking everybody to take a picture, take a screenshot of this table with the information, plot the graph, and send it to my WhatsApp tomorrow, not in the group, just send it to my personal WhatsApp number. All right, guys, so I'm going to stop here for tonight, and then we'll continue on this topic next week. All right, so everybody has a screenshot of the table and the information, the question yet? Let me see the hands of those who already taken a screenshot. All right, Miss Brown, Miss Wasom, Miss Dorothy. Anybody else? Miss Cavera. All right. So if everybody already taken a screenshot, I'm going to clear the table. I'm going to clear the screen at least. All right, guys, so finish up this question for homework and send in your graph tomorrow. All right. So we're going to end class here now, guys.